Hello, my name is Ray Chambers, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about electrical systems, and this is part of the AQA GCSE specification for engineering. So we're going to go through this, we're going to recap on some of the things that you need to know, and then as a result of this you will see some questions which may help you with your revision. So this slide here goes over some of the content that you will need to revise when you're understanding electrical systems. So you can see here that you'll need to understand Ohm's law. You'll need to know the difference between AC and DC. You'll need to know about the different power supplies such as mains electric and batteries, switches and relays, and all the different types of motors that you need to know. Now, some of these diagrams here I will be using in some of the questions, and you will be able to see these answers. So hopefully this will help you with your revision. And thank you to Paul Braden, who provided this revision resource, and I'm just making it into a video for some of the students. So at this point, I would like you to have a look at these two questions, and what you're going to do is you're going to pause the video and write down your answers and see how close you got to it. So the two questions we have here are explain the difference between an alternating current and a direct current. And the other thing we're going to need to know is which two output devices are used to create sound. Now, if you have an eagle eye here, you will have noticed that it says alternating current and direct current, AC, DC. So that may help you remember that. So pause the video now and write down your answers and then resume it afterwards. So what you can see here is the difference between alternating current, AC, and direct current, DC, is that alternating current changes up to 50 times per second, whereas mains electricity at home is direct and flows in one direction. You can see two graphs here. The graph on the right is your direct current, and the graph on your left is your alternating current. Mains electricity is generally AC supply in the UK, and this is because it's relatively straightforward to transport across long distances. Direct current, because it flows in one direction, many electric products use DC, such as batteries and cells. So you might use it for a mobile phone, a tablet computer, or an e-reader. The main advantage of using DC is that it's reliable and efficient. Now, the two output devices that you might use to create sound are buzzers or bells. You can see here the icons that are used for those. Buzzers have an internal oscillator which produces sound. at different frequency with different voltages, whereas a bell will use electromagnets to produce a kind of clanging, dinging noise. So the one on your left is the circuit symbol for a buzzer, whereas the one on your right is a circuit symbol for a bell. So at this point again, we have two questions for you. One is explain how a filament lamp works, and the other is a handheld electric drill can be powered using main supplies or batteries. Discuss why both methods might be used. So that might be a discussion-based question you could get in an exam, and you need to be prepared. So pause the video at this point, write down your answer, and check how you got on. So to help you at this point, I've included a little bit of a diagram of a light bulb so you can see how it works. Now, a filament lamp is an output device within your circuit. It has a thin coil wire, which you can see in this diagram here. So this coil or wire is known as your filament, and we have a glass casing around it. The current passes through this filament, and as it heats up, it produces light. So the more current going through it, the brighter it's going to be. These have been replaced by more energy efficient LEDs, so you may not find a filament as much in circuits anymore, but they do still exist today. But pay attention to the voltage rating when you pick one of these for your projects. If the voltage is too high, it can destroy the lamp. The other question we have here is a handheld electric drill can be powered using mains, power supply, or batteries. We need to discuss why both methods are used. When using main supply for a drill, you'll usually need an electric outlet or socket. Although this is cheap, it has to physically be plugged into a socket, which means that the drill will not be as portable. Bear in mind, you may get long written questions here that actually get you to think about the context of the question. So you may actually be given a scenario of where you're currently at. Are you on a building site? Are you in a classroom? And you may need to have that discussion. The other difficulty with main supply is that it has higher voltages and can be extremely dangerous if used unsafely. It can result in electric burns or shocks. So you've got to talk about safe practices and maybe policies that you can consider, health and safety in the work, all of these things. Now, using a battery operated drill will mean that it's a lot more portable because batteries use electrodes and the chemical reactions convert the chemical energy into electrical energy. And it's possible to use rechargeable batteries. So if you've got an environmental question, you can discuss the use of rechargeable batteries so that you can reduce landfill. Batteries are useful in places where you have no access. So it may be that you're on a building site and you don't have main supply yet. So you need something that is battery operated until the actual power supply is there. So these are all considerations and conversations that you could be having as part of your answer to these questions. This is the symbol for the battery. So your next set of questions here are explain the function of a relay and explain the difference between a stepper motor and a servo. So pause the video again, write down your answers, and let's see how we get on. So the function of a relay is it's an electrical operated switch. As current flows through the coil, the magnetic field is created, and this magnetic field attracts the lever to complete the circuit. So you can imagine there's a magnet to close that lever to direct the current. They used when you've got to switch a large load of current from a much smaller control. So you can see here in the blue diagram, I've got like my main circuit and there's a high current going through it. Now what I might need to do is switch this high current into a lower switch, which has a much lower voltage, and that's the job of the relay, so that the load is reduced when it's going through that switch. You can see that in the diagram here. Now, the difference between a stepper motor and a servo is that a servo motor can be used when precision, speed, or position is required, and you would use these on CNC machines, big electronic machines. Now, stepper motors are used for full rotation, so it might be used if you've got a robotic arm which needs to move all the way around. You might even use this for positioning of a camera. So these are the key differences between these two motors, and that may help you with your revision. So our last two questions on electrical systems are: what voltage is UK main supply at, and what is the unit of current? I'm going to stop there, and you can pause and see your answers. So our last question today is: mains voltage is usually supplied at 230 volt AC in the United Kingdom. Current is shown as an I measurement. You can use Ohm's law, which I'll talk about in future videos, which state that voltage divided by resistance will give you the current. This diagram below might help you when you're working this out. As long as you remember that voltage divided by resistance will give you the current, voltage divided by the current will give you the resistance, and if you multiply the current by the resistance, it will give you the voltage. So you can use that to help you with your revision.